This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It was a game that started out following a very similar script, but unfortunately, it was a different ending for the New York Mets as they fall in the finale of the Subway Series by a final score of 8-2. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And yes, this was a tough one for the New York Mets tonight. This was one that they're going to want to have back. This was one we said that we were having fun with these back and forth games between the Mets and the Yankees where every single at bat, every single moment felt like it mattered. This one, not as fun. And let's just dive right into it. There's just an overarching theme to this ball club right now. It reared its ugly head over the two games in this series. They were on the positive side of it yesterday, but we can go back to the Chicago series for where this started.
This is what you'll be talking about.
The New York Mets as a team right now have zero margin for error. None whatsoever. They cannot afford a small mistake. They can't afford a defensive miscue. With the way their offense is going, or not going right now, they have to play perfect baseball when it comes to the fundamentals. They have to play perfect baseball on the mound. They have to play perfect baseball base running. They have to play perfect baseball defensively. They have to play perfect baseball out of their bullpen. If this offense is going to be this sluggish, what were the final numbers tonight? 3 hits. If you're only going to muster up 3 hits and only put 2 runs on the board, you are asking the rest of this team to be perfect. Just zero margin for error. We said in yesterday's game, it was a back and forth affair where there was zero margin for error. The Mets came out on the right side of that one. They did not tonight. And they didn't because bad defense early directly leads to the first 2 runs. And in the 8th inning, after the 7th inning, Huascar Brazoban comes into the game. Certainly works himself into some trouble, but works himself out of some trouble. He got in and out of that jam in the 7th. And again, that shows you how precise the margin for error for this team is. You felt like that was the game right there. You felt like when the Mets got out of that jam in the 7th, when Brazoban got the strikeout to get himself out of the bases loaded jam in the 7th by striking out Volpe, you thought to yourself, okay, there was the critical moment of this game. There was the big at bat. They got out of it. They're going to do what they do best. They're going to scratch a run across, and they're going to win this baseball game. Just didn't happen. And they had sloppy play in the 8th inning that all got started. That 6-run inning all goes to Pete Alonso throwing it back like he's Lucas Duda in the 2015 World Series. I saw all of you, mention that in the chat. I felt it when watching the play. That was 2015 all over again. Just airmail the throw of the plate. And it's funny because that's been a strength of this Mets team. They've actually made that play at the plate in those spots pretty regularly this season. Third base in particular, whether it's been Vientos or Beatty or Acuna out there, they've been making that play. They did not make that play tonight, and that allowed the inning to continue. That allowed the Yankees to get a run on the board. Bellinger hits the home run. It was all she wrote. Not with the way this offense was playing. So just a team right now that can't get out of their own way. A team right now that they can't make these types of mistakes. They can't make a mistake like Vientos did in the 2nd inning and bobble a ball that puts a runner on base. You can't have it happen. You can't throw the ball away like you're Pete. If you're Huascar Brazoban, this is not a mistake that cost them, but on the infield hit that kind of loaded everything up for the Yankees, the one thing you can't do, you got to flip the ball to Pete Alonso there. You can't try to beat him to the bag. You almost took yourself out. You almost took Pete out. You almost let the run score. Just sloppiness across the board. And, not to toot our own horn here on the Mets Postcast, but for those of you who are with us every single day after the Mets play, we said this when they got away with some of this stuff against the Pirates. You cannot play that way against good baseball teams. They will punish you. That is exactly what the New York Yankees did tonight. They punished the Mets for making those small mistakes. So if the hitting is going to be this bad, if the hitting and the bats are going to be this quiet, you have to play perfect everywhere else. It's not like David Peterson had a bad night tonight. He went toe-to-toe with Max Fried. Max Fried's one of the best pitchers in the American League this year. Max Fried is the best pitcher on the Yankees. He's replaced Garrett Cole at the top of that rotation, and he's been amazing. And Peterson matched him blow for blow for blow. And where did it get him? Nowhere, because the razor-thin margin that this Mets offense puts on their pitching staff, the razor-thin margin that this offense puts defensively on themselves, base running on themselves, just all across the board, just sloppiness for this Mets team. And when you play a team like the New York Yankees, they are going to make you pay for that. We'll get into the offense. We'll get into Beatty versus Vientos, Pete struggling, a lot to continue to break down here. And we'll do a lot of that here on the other side. Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios, one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feeling fuller longer. How about the no shells variety, the perfect grab and go snack for those busy days? Perhaps you're running between meetings or you're dropping off the kids. Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. At least we got our basketball team, right? At least we got the other team wearing the blue and orange. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Perhaps you're ready to ride with the Knicks. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. You want to hop on board? Well, if you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here, the Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Let's talk about this offense. And there is one conversation that I think people want to have. We'll have it here. And I'm not sure truly what to do with it. But that is what to do at third base. And it was Mark Vientos in there at third base today, and he made the error in the second inning that put another base runner on for the Yankees when they scored those first 2 runs of the game. And honestly, right now, the Mets have to make a choice. If they're going to have Brett Beatty up and a member of this active roster, he is the better defensive third baseman. He is the better defender to play every single day at third base. But Mark Vientos, even with all the struggles that he's having, at least to me, he's the bat I'd rather have in the lineup. I know Brett Beatty had that power surge last weekend, but you're starting to see the old Brett Beatty kind of appear in the last couple of days, very quickly getting behind in the count with 2 strikes, swinging and missing at pitches for strikeouts, making that weak contact on the ground. You're starting to see that old Brett Beatty. So you have a defensive-minded guy in Beatty, but you just have zero consistency with his offense. Or you have Vientos, who is less defensively, but you know that there's probably more in that bat. Now, right now, he's not showing it. And so it's a really tough thing for Carlos Mendoza to make that decision. If it's me, with this offense, the little margin for error I have as a team, I think I need to start playing Brett Beatty every day at third base. That doesn't mean Mark's not in there as the DH. That doesn't mean I don't find a way to get Mark's bat in the lineup. But I can't afford those types of mistakes from Mark Vientos, from myself defensively. Team got 3 hits tonight. Team, if they're going to get out of this, the way they get out of it is they play good, clean, fundamental baseball while the bats start to catch up and start to break out and get hot. And so you have to make these types of tough decisions. So I'm good. I don't think I need to see Starling Marte be the everyday DH. I think I'm good permanently making Beatty the third baseman and making Vientos the DH and running with that for a little bit. Jeff McNeil had a nice night tonight. You can play him at second base. You can play him at center field like you did tonight. You can get Vientos in as the DH. You can get Beatty in at the third baseman. You can still get Luis Angel Acuna the time that you want to get him. You can still find a way to balance all of these guys. But the Mets right now need to put a emphasis on the fundamentals because that is the thing that is going to get them out of this. Pete just can't make that play. And Pete's going to beat himself up about it. He's going to be the first person to tell you that he has to make that throw. And same thing with Mark, and same thing with everybody who's made a mistake defensively this season and specifically in the last couple of weeks. But they are. I don't know if they're pressing. I don't know if they're struggling, and so they're carrying it with them into the field. They're just not playing clean baseball. And if you are going to struggle offensively, I mean, they scored 2 runs in this game today. They scored how many runs yesterday? How many did it end up being? It was 3 yesterday. It was 2 the day before. They scored none against the Pirates in the final game. 2, 4. And the last time they scored more than 4 runs in a game, you have to go to the finale against the Cubs where they scored 6. This is an offense that is just not hitting right now. And so you got to play perfect in the field. And you have to reward a good starting pitching outing from David Peterson. Went toe-to-toe with Max Fried, exactly what we asked of him. And you got nothing to show for it. So just a team that's out of sorts. The Beatty versus Vientos thing is interesting. You are going to give up something, I think, if you only play one over the other. But I wonder if it's time to move Vientos to the DH spot. If you make Beatty the third baseman as long as he's up here, and you have Acuna McNeil kind of tag team second base, you get McNeil some reps in center field, and that's your way of getting everybody involved. But tonight, it was an 0 for 12 from the 3 guys in the top of the lineup. Lindor, Alonso, and Soto combined to go 0 for 12. Mets aren't going to win a lot of baseball games when those guys go 0 for 12 in a game. I mean, I know this team has other talent. I know we think the world of Mark Vientos. I know we think the world of Brandon Nimmo. I think we think the world of a lot of guys in this offense. This team's going to go as far as those 3 guys at the top take them. And they need those 3 guys at the top to contribute. And I believe, if I'm remembering the way the broadcast broke it down correctly, you have the first time this season that none of those guys got on base at all throughout the course of a game. They've at least, one of them has at least gotten on base at some point this season. So just not something we've seen from them, but 0 for 12. You have Vientos struggling, Nimmo struggling. You have a lot of guys struggling. See a comment here in the YouTube chat. People talking about this offense waking up. Who's going to wake up? Everyone on the team from 4 through 9 is like a 250 hitter. They don't have good hitters. Yeah, just disagree. Juan Soto's a good hitter. Pete Alonso's a good hitter. Brendan Nimmo's a good hitter. Mark Vientos is a good hitter. I'm not going to allow a 46, 47 game sample size allow me to forget what Mark Vientos did all throughout last year and in the playoffs. I'm not going to allow a 47 game sample size to make me forget who Brandon Nimmo is as a player. Is the team struggling right now? Absolutely. Pete Alonso struggling in the month of May. It's our last bullet point here on the show. His strikeout rate is nearly doubled. It was a 15% strikeout rate in April. It's 34% here in May. He's struggling. Team is struggling. But you know what? They aren't going to hit for 162 games. And at some point, we are going to see Lindor get back to the way that he was hitting at the beginning of the season. Alonso to be able to contribute. Soto will break out. You will start to see these guys look like the players that we think they are. They're just going through it right now. And a series like this, it's kind of a wake-up call because it's the type of teams you're going to be facing in the postseason. The type of teams you're going to be potentially facing if this team's going to make it to the World Series. They have just right now as a baseball team, it's sloppy. It is not fundamental New York Met baseball where it's clean and things are just operating the way we know that they can. They are just not playing a good, fundamental, clean baseball. It's sloppy, it's ill-timed, and it is the type of baseball that makes you live and breathe with every pitch, with every at-bat, with every moment, and you can't ask your team to do that every single day. If you try to play that way, if you try to play that high wire act every single day, you're going to have nights like tonight. You just are. And you want to know why I know that? Because yesterday, and I don't know if anyone wants to agree with me on this, but yesterday you played the same exact game. You played a brand of baseball that was a razor-thin margin, a close game, came down to a couple of at-bats late, and you came through with the plays. You came through with the big at-bats. You were able to scratch that run across to take the lead and win the baseball game. The breaks went your way yesterday. They didn't today. It's sloppy. It's inconsistent. It's fundamental baseball. You want to be upset about it? I'm upset about it too. I mean, you want to sit around and get the text messages from all your Yankee fan friends that you know? I mean, I'm getting them. My phone's blowing up tonight. It's not enjoyable to lose 2 out of 3, especially with the Juan Soto thing hovering over this game as well. This is a tough one. This was a tough one to watch. This was a tough one to have to swallow, but I'd rather this happen now than it happened in October. And I'd rather than be able to bounce back from this, to respond from this, and show us who they are as a baseball team. This team's resilient. Still haven't lost 3 games in a row yet this season. You saw that resiliency on display yesterday. So they've got a big series coming up next when they take on the Boston Red Sox, another great team. Yeah, as James just said, 6 errors in the last 6 games. They've got to clean that stuff up. They have to put their best foot forward defensively, and I wonder if you maybe try to lean towards a more defensive-oriented lineup, a defensive-minded lineup to try to help you cut down on those mistakes right now when you're a team that isn't hitting very well. It is a series against the Red Sox that will start tomorrow, and it will be Kodai Senga on the mound to start the opener. We'll be right back here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed, to break it all down. If you are new here, please subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you're notified when we go live, and you can join us after each and every game throughout the course of the season. The Mets fall. It's a tough one. They are not playing good baseball. They basically have to play perfect right now with the doldrums that their offense is in, and it's ugly. When it looks like this, it can get ugly in a hurry. Bad defense, no hitting, just a not fun series of Mets baseball. Hopefully they continue to show that resiliency. They put this in the rearview mirror, and we see some better baseball starting on Monday in Boston. We'll be here to break it all down. Have a good one, everybody.